I always love it when things work. This is my 10th installment called Dream a Little Dream. Namaste. I love you, and stay with me. This is kind of a ride here. Of late, I have had the wildest lucid dreams. I mean, they are even in other time periods, outer space, and far-off planets. They are much too realistic with landscapes, architecture, and many details I could never make up. I'm simply not that creative. 5 years ago, they were more nightmarish and frustrating. They were not your typical going to school in your underwear dreams. They were more musical than that. As many of you know, I was a church organist, choir director, and pianist in churches for 51 years. So it had to do with music, right? There were always these old, dusty churches with creepy architecture and broken down pipe organs, sometimes 3 in the same church. I arrived. No one was expecting me. Nobody seemed to know how to open the consoles. I could not find the pastor or person in charge. There wasn't a lot of time to prepare. No one could find the bulletin or program. The place was always full of unremarkable gray, colorless people, and I could not find my music. Anybody ever been there? Really, it was a church organist's worst possible nightmare scenario. I was haunted by these gut-wrenching dreams almost every night. My frustration rose and began to choke me, as in my waking life, I was the problem-solving knight in white armor, saving the day. As you may or may not know, I did play church organ and piano, and for a long time, so I really know how to problem solve. Have you ever worked with some church people? Well, then you know what I'm talking about. Slowly it dawned on me that my higher self was trying to get my attention. In my research, I found that recurring dreams mirror your real life. They mirror unresolved problems, tangled balls of mental, emotional quandaries, helping me to discover my blockages so that I could clearly see them and implement solutions. After 2 failed marriages and countless impossible codependent friendships, this fixer absolutely had to cease enabling broken people who had no desire to change. My intentions were pure, but the individuals I was drawn to were bottomless pits of need and dysfunction. The only way I could truly help was to allow them to face their own karma. I know it sounds cruel, but when we hit bottom, that's when we truly see the need for change. Tough love is the only solution, in my opinion. An alcoholic, delinquent child, heroin abuser, narcissist, etc., must reap what they have sown. Even in my own life, I wouldn't get off the dime unless I absolutely had to. Yes, we can be lazy in our self-improvement. Have you ever heard about directing your dreams? It is so very liberating. In my dreams, I did just that. I regained control of the lurid nightmare scenarios. I didn't take responsible for the laissez-faire attitude of the gray people. I started to take over, choose the music for the service that they should have planned, and made it work instead of flailing helplessly. I started to get better at this and began to nicely cut the shit and confront them on being unprepared. Finally, if the conditions weren't good, I would walk out and leave them to sort out their own mess. I refused to take responsibility that wasn't mine. Finally, as I came up to the nightmare church, I realized I didn't really want to do this anymore and walked away before I even entered the dream situation. By the way, the dream stopped. Oh, there's more. I retired from 51 years of church work. Solving everyone's problems, especially during the COVID pandemic, had taken its toll, and I was having none of it anymore. Talk about pooped. I slept for about 2 months. Again and again, the universe directs. I balk. The universe directs harder. I procrastinate. The universe makes things almost impossible, and I give in, thinking the world is over. Seriously, every time there is a death of the known, my life begins again and is amazing. Everything I took my identity from in my life is now gone. And I've never been happier. How freeing it is just to be me. Thank you, Source, for the enlightening lucid dreams. I go on adventures every night, nap or snooze. The places are exotic with landscapes and architecture unknown to me in this lifetime. Again, I am not creative enough to come up with this on my own. One dream scenario was particularly memorable. This sounds like the beginning of a sci-fi show. We were refugees from a planetary war and in big trouble. Our food stores were almost depleted, fuel was low, the breathable oxygen was rationed. Most everyone was in stasis to conserve the limited resources, with just 5 of us commanding the fleet remotely. 5. Going home was not an option. Finding a new planet was essential. Simply put, we were all going to die if our situation remained as it was. Suddenly there was hope. We found a habitable planet with a breathable atmosphere, reasonable weather, but devoid of detectable sentient life. We landed a reconnaissance mission to assess the viability of this unknown world. Really, we had no choice but to colonize. Initially, there were no immediate dangers, but we made many startling and unsettling discoveries. We revived the crew members first, devised a landing logistic, chose the best location to set up our new civilization, revived the non-military passengers, and readied the fleet to touch down. What we encountered blew us away. There were thousands of cities with intact infrastructure, but no detectable sentient life. As we explored, we found a beautiful city, quite overgrown, but all of the buildings were habitable. Imagine our delight. After enduring the privations and crowded conditions for longer than we could remember, we had homes. Our pioneering plan was scrapped, and we just occupied what was already there. This was better than we could have ever hoped. Our joy and relief were tempered by an unsettling discovery. There were remains of humanoid creatures everywhere, badly decomposed, really clothed with tiny bone fragments inside, as if they had died hundreds of years before. Not good. This extinct civilization had a level of technological advancement far above our already advanced capabilities. But the burning question in all of our minds was, what killed them, and could it cause us harm? After all we'd been through, we hadn't the strength to deal with it. If you see me, it's mosquitoes, okay? The architecture was beyond phenomenal. The entire culture seemed to be enthralled by triangles and pyramids. The buildings, doors, windows, machines, furniture, paving, balconies, even the picture frames were all some form of triangle. Even though no one had inhabited the homes for many years, automation had kept everything in tip-top condition. There wasn't even any dust. We just moved in. All the construction was made of a seemingly indestructible poured polymer that shone like new. There was more than enough air, food replicators, water, shelter, and, if we could modify the technology, energy to provide all of our needs. It was heaven compared to our long, recent hell. Our old planet had been destroyed, but now we could make a new start. Mother, Father, God had spared us. Praise the source. After our basic survival needs were met, we began the grim task of burying the past residents' fragmented remains with dignity. The semi-tropical forest had reclaimed everything but the houses, roads, and pathways, as automation helped them to remain clear. We tamed the overgrowth and began life again. The weather was beautiful after the stifling environment of the overcrowded refugee ships. This was truly a paradise. The burning question, however, remained. What had killed the previous residents, and was there a threat to us? We successfully hacked into the computing system and began our research. My task was to translate the languages of the planet so we could get some answers, because possibly our continued survival depended on it. I think it's interesting to note that I have an affinity for languages in this life also. I really wanted this dream to continue. Can you imagine how I felt not knowing how things went? When I heard about the Lyran Wars with the Orions, millions of years before, it all clicked. This was a flashback to one of my many, many incarnations. Now, how cool is that? Star Wars, Babylon 5, and Battlestar Galactica were channeled documentaries based on a past reality, not just fanciful fiction. Interestingly, in most of my frequent vivid dreams, the same 5 individuals are almost always with me. Their appearance may change, but they are extremely familiar soul family members. Hello, baby. We have been working together for a very, very long time. I could go on and on. Yes, I see you all wearily nodding in agreement. My recent dreams are missions of various kinds. I have rescued literally thousands of people and animals, and have even saved a planet from being obliterated by an imploding device that would have eaten it up like a black hole. I can hardly wait to go to sleep and have another adventure. This may seem far-fetched, but I believe these are actual events from my past lives and present-day missions of mercy around the galaxy. They are all too real. The topography of each planet is beyond my creativity to draw from my limited reference. The architecture, the architecture. Unbelievably detailed and, again, beyond my imaginative capabilities. In the dreams, most everyone I encounter is telepathic, but communication is limited. Action, action, action. The universe is getting ready to do something extraordinary, and we must prepare ourselves for it. Our dreams are not random dust devils swirling around in our brains. They are pregnant with information for our healing, preparing us for future life missions. If animals are involved, look up its medicine or totem meaning. Do your own research. Depend on your own intuition. Believe what resonates and let the rest go. Gone are the days when we depend on priests, pastors, authors, authorities, friends, gurus, etc. to tell us how to think. It's your responsibility, and take it seriously. Get the messages and directions. Wake up and smell the coffee. Be ready for the solar flash. Look that one up. The ascension. Look that one up. The new age that is upon us. Keep a dream journal by your bed. Mine is full. Higher dimensional information cannot readily stay in our third dimensional limited brains. Write down as soon as possible, because we almost always forget our dreams, don't we? Be ready for what's coming. The signs are everywhere. Don't be left in the dark, and don't be left behind. Namaste. I love you.